Welcome once again, everyone. In our previous episode, we dove deeper into the black hole that is 4chan, showcasing just how truly horrifying and bizarre the site can be. But what if I told you there's another layer to this all? One that is just so shocking, so insane, that you truly have to see it to believe it. In this video, we venture one layer deeper as we explore some of the most unsettling behavior that exists on the platform. So, join me as we dive into the event horizon, navigating its maze of secrets, horrors, and chaos that makes 4chan one truly infamous platform. This is the real, unfiltered side of one of the internet's most controversial platforms. Welcome to part 1 of the darkest side of 4chan. March 6th, 2017. In Herne, Germany, we meet 19-year-old Marcel Hesse. Described as an outsider, Marcel lived with his parents and was considered mentally disturbed within his local neighborhood. He never had a job or an apprenticeship and simply lived off of the benefits his mother and father received from the German government. He had also applied to join the German army as a temporary soldier in autumn of 2016, but this application was rejected in February of 2017. Feeling as though he had nothing left to offer, Marcel decided he had enough with life and wanted to take his own. And so, Marcel tells a friend over WhatsApp that he's ready to end his life, asking him what he thinks the best method for taking his own life is. He proceeds to send his friend pictures of his setup to take his own life, with his friend not seeming to care very much. He goes on to text his friend by saying, "If I can't pull it off today, I'll do something jail-worthy. Want 4chan-worthy pictures later?" "Of course," said the friend. His attempt to take his own life doesn't go well for Marcel. Feeling frustrated with himself, he opts for plan B. If he can't take his own life, he'll take somebody else's. Marcel approaches his neighbour's house and asks the youngest of the 3 brothers, 9-year-old Jaden, if he would help Marcel put up a ladder. According to the local police investigation, Marcel managed to lure Jaden to his home and proceeded to stab him 58 times, all while filming his senseless act on camera. He then proceeds to send a selfie of himself to his friend, with Jaden's lifeless body next to him. His friend then simply asks, "Why?" His response? "'Cause I don't want to go to work. Running now." Marcel fled the home where he had lived with his parents after the crime, initially hiding in a nearby forest. His friend, on the other hand, is left with all of the incriminating evidence on his phone. There's only one thing to do in a situation like this: contact local authorities. What does this friend, however, decide to do? Well, he posts it all to 4chan. "A friend of mine wanted to take his own life, but then he took the life of the neighbour's child because he messed up his own attempt. What the hell? I don't know. What the hell?" That same evening, local authorities in Herne launched an investigation in the search of Jaden and a possible murder suspect after the boy's mother reported her son as missing, as well as an anonymous tip from someone who saw the post on 4chan. By March 7th, the investigation turned into a nationwide manhunt, when Jaden's body was eventually found in the basement of Marcel's house, with the main suspect nowhere to be found. Marcel, still hiding in the forest, got in contact with one of his former classmates, Christopher, whom he knew vaguely from a local college. Marcel asked if he could come over, and Christopher, who unfortunately wasn't fully aware of what was going on, agreed, thinking everything was normal. The two of them ate together, played video games, and went to bed late in the night without any issues. Within this time frame, Marcel had made his own post onto 4chan, writing the following: "May get caught soon. Here's a statement." He leaves a pastebin link titled "A Clarification of Sorts" by Michael Hesse. In this document, he goes on to claim that the reasoning for his attacks aren't what you'd expect. There is a motive, which I've stated, but neither will you press release it, or probably accept it, since such a meek cause doesn't warrant my actions. Well, it was effective, no? I got what I wanted. I'll not need to contribute to society via becoming an upstanding citizen. Economies work mostly by forced altruism, and I have zero interest in taking part of sustaining something so useless. That's the why, anyway. He then goes on to say, "There is a second reason. I've been writing and improving my novel writing skill, and they're all on my PC, just waiting to have more added. I compared the research I did on topics of serial killing and the novels in that direction. I also write fantasy, and think this helped me greatly, improving my greatest hobby. How is that relevant? I'm a hedonist. I don't feel like being pushed out of my current position, although it most certainly can't be reverted since I done goofed. At the same time, I'd consider myself an existential nihilist. The universe doesn't care if some kid dies, or planet Earth. We humans are the only living organism that need rhyme and reason to do stuff. I'd rather exclude myself from that description. I know my legacy won't hold more than 5 years at best, and everyone currently alive is dust anyway in 200 years. In 50 million years, the only things others can find of our existence is glass and plastic particles." He concludes this statement with one harrowing sentence: "P.S. I do feel proud of becoming a meme, though." The next morning, Marcel's classmate, Christopher, discovered on the internet that Marcel was wanted, having seen a news report calling for his arrest, and confronted him. He threatened to call the police on Marcel, which unfortunately led to Marcel taking his life in the same way he took Jaden's. Christopher was stabbed a total of 68 times. Marcel once again proceeded to take pictures of his victim and proceeded to stay there until he turned himself in to the police on the 9th of March 2017. During the trial, Marcel's sister, 22-year-old Sandy, said her brother was proud of what he did. "I have visited him once in jail, but we are not allowed to talk about the topic. Even then I asked him, 'Do you regret it?' And then he gave cold as ice the answer, 'No.'" Sandy explained that Marcel had violent tendencies from a young age, even going so far as to attack a teacher with a pair of scissors and chasing his brother through the house with a knife. Marcel didn't admit guilt during his 5-month trial, instead preferring to stay silent. Marcel's defense lawyers had argued that he was not sufficiently mature enough to be tried as an adult, but the court dismissed this option, sentencing him to life in jail. Marcel's story, and the unfortunate loss of both Jaden and Christopher, really highlight how dangerous some people can be. Marcel was clearly out of touch with reality, and this is highlighted with him claiming he's proud to be a meme, as well as describing himself as an existential nihilist. His rash decision to take the life of someone else because of his inability to take his own is shocking, and he and his friend's decision to post all of the gruesome evidence of his actions online to 4chan and other online platforms is just bizarre. Marcel's outlook on life is warped, and his inability to see the beauty of life and the world we live in is in some ways quite sad. But saddest of all is the loss that has come about from his actions. I hope both Jaden and Christopher's families have been able to heal through time and overcome such an awful tragedy. In 2012, 12-year-old Reuben Braithwaite moved to Broadmoor Farm, located at St Clears, Carmarthenshire, West Wales, with his father, Chris, and stepmother, Fiona. According to reports, Fiona loved Ruben deeply, caring for him and even encouraging him to pursue a university education, treating Ruben as if he was her own child. Ruben, however, was uninterested in such things and reportedly didn't show her the same care she showed him. During his time on Broadmoor Farm, Ruben became fascinated with dark and disturbing content available on the internet. The types of content he would watch consisted of beheadings, people taking their own lives, or even mass murders. And all of this content was widely available for him on one website, 4chan. Ruben slowly became desensitized to the type of content he was watching, gradually becoming more deeply invested in watching the most gruesome content he could find. Then one day, something snapped. Watching these videos was no longer enough. He had to try it for himself. His attack wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. Ruben had thought about it and planned the attack. On the 6th of March, 2012, after returning home from school, he collected an axe while tending to his family's livestock and a samurai sword, which was kept under his father's bed. He then called to Fiona to come outside and check on their cat. When she did, he struck her on the head with the blunt side of the axe, before repeatedly striking her head as she lay lifeless on the floor. He then took photos of her body and tried to upload them to 4chan. Fortunately, he was unsuccessful in doing so. He then called 999, stating, "I've just killed someone. The person is Fiona Scourfield. I know she's dead. Her pulse has stopped. There's no signs of life. I hit her so many times in the head, about 8 to 9 times with the axe." When asked why he killed her, Ruben simply told the operator, "I'm just fed up with my life. I wanted to take my own life, but I couldn't. So, I thought if I took someone else's, it would get me out." Ruben was arrested by local police walking near the farm and later pleaded guilty to murder at a hearing at Swansea Crown Court. He had reportedly complained of loneliness, unhappiness and depression leading up to the attack, but had not been suffering from any mental health conditions. The judge said, "The savagery of the attack on this defenseless woman makes this case all the worse. No doubt inspired by the graphic images seen on the internet in the months before the attack, you attempted to upload images of the attack to the internet." He was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 15 years. Ruben's story is an incredibly unfortunate one, and although isn't directly linked to 4chan, the type of content that is easily available on the forums definitely distorted Ruben's way of thinking and desensitized him to such gruesome photos and videos. Consuming such content every day is bound to have an effect on anyone, and it's clear that it did that to Ruben. He was so fortunate to be in a home that was safe, surrounded by people that loved him and only wanted the best for him. But to him, that wasn't good enough. He wanted to be like other 4chan users, posting bloody and grotesque content on the forums for shock horror and twisted entertainment. And this, unfortunately, cost the life of an innocent woman. On the 4th of November 2014, one user posted to 4chan's random board B saying, "Turns out, it's way harder to strangle someone to death than it looks in the movies." With this, he attaches a photo of a lifeless, pale-looking woman. He immediately follows this up with a comment by saying, "She fought so damn hard." He attaches another image of the woman, still lifeless, still pale-looking, positioned in exactly the same way. The users of 4chan immediately call his bluff, accusing him of being a fraud. To the users of 4chan, this thread is simply a joke more than anything. Partially because they're just desensitized to these sorts of things, but also because they just simply don't believe him. Old and fake. Dude didn't even timestamp when they faked this crap lol. More and more comments continue to flood the thread. But the OP doesn't seem to care whether people believe him or not. He ignores every comment and post within his thread, leaving one final comment and photo. He uploads another picture of the woman, still lifeless looking, saying, "Check the news for Port Orchard, Washington in a few hours. Her son will be home from school soon. He'll find her, then call the cops. I just wanted to share the pics before they find me. I bought a BB gun that looks realistic enough. When they come, I'll pull it and it will be death by cop. I understand the doubts. Just check the effing news. I have to lose my phone now." And with that, the OP goes silent. Later that day, her 13-year-old son came home from school and found his mother in the same lifeless position she was left hours ago. He contacted local authorities, who began conducting an investigation. The authorities received tips about the graphic images of a woman's body posted onto 4chan. She was later identified as Amber Coplin. Amber's family saw the photos, including at least one of her children, and despite 4chan removing them from their site, they are, to this day, still available on the internet. The OP, who was later identified as David Michael Kalloch, was found driving the dead woman's car, briefly being involved in a high-speed chase with police before evading capture. He was later arrested in Wilsonville, around 20 miles southwest of Portland. David Michael Kalloch was convicted of first-degree murder for strangling and posting gruesome pictures of Amber Coplin to the internet, and was sentenced to 82 years in prison. This post in particular is one I've always found to be really heartbreaking. David's actions were inexcusable. In court, he claimed he was suffering from severe alcoholism and couldn't remember both Amber's death nor his actions immediately afterward. This, however, doesn't justify his actions. Even more so when you consider that he intentionally left her body there for her 13-year-old son to come home to and find. There's just no excuse for that. It's just pure cruelty. I can't imagine what a horrifying experience this must have been for not only Amber's son, but for her whole family to endure. Having a family member's life be taken away is bad enough, but for the images of her lifeless body be paraded across the internet too must make this so much more difficult to deal with. His decision to post her photos onto 4chan is just bizarre too. He never explained why or gave a reason or motive for this. Was he an avid 4chan user? Did he want to become infamous like some other users? I guess we'll never know. This next post is just, indescribable to be honest. The thread takes us to Paris, France, where one 4chan user wants to bring back more than just memories. Within Paris lies the Catacombs, a network of underground tunnels holding the remains of over 6 million people. Created in the late 18th century to help with the city's overcrowded cemeteries, these creepy and dark tunnels stretch for miles beneath the streets of Paris. On the 5th of June 2007, one user asked 4chan's random board, "If I took a skull from the catacombs, do you think I could get it back to the States no problem? I'm thinking, if it's in my luggage, they won't think twice." Most comments were understandably dismissive. "Good luck getting the skull out of the catacombs, dumbass." One other user commented, "Enjoy your poltergeist," to which the OP replied, "Haha, thanks. It's sitting in front of me right now." One other user commented, "I've stolen at least 30 of them, though I've never taken them on a commercial airliner before. They're awesome for shooting, putting explosives in, etc." One user, however, thought differently to this idea. "That's messed up. Those catacombs are full of history and importance to many people. You're desecrating a sacred site. I know this is B, and we're not supposed to have morals, but that's low. This comment, however, didn't really seem to get much attention as the conversation continued on how best to get the skull on board. OP here. So, what would be the best way to get it back? In the checked luggage? Or carry-on? Mailing it? Unless there's one loose one laying around that won't be missed, don't do it. Mailing is the best method, I'd say. Throw in other random objects to make it seem like novelties. The thread mostly goes quiet until the OP returns. He posts a picture. It's a skull, time-stamped and everything, confirming he's actually being serious. Well, I'll be on a flight from Paris to New Jersey tomorrow, leaving here at 2 p.m. Paris time, arriving there at 4 p.m. Jersey time, so if my plane goes down, keep an eye out for it. The other users show mixed feelings about him trying to steal a skull from the catacombs. I'm not religious, but you should respect the dead. Weird things are happening in the world, things that no physician can explain. Someone else commented, I think that as long as the OP doesn't make a goblet out of it or piss in it, he'll be okay on the karmic side of things. I'd go with mail myself. The OP returns saying, OP here. I used the first image before I decided I'd need actual proof for you guys to believe me. Taking another pic now. Be right back. And sure enough, the OP returns shortly after, covering his face with the timestamp, with the skull resting on his shoulder. One person comments, Anon demands to see your thing in eye socket, with timestamp of course. To which he replied, maybe later. I'm posting on other forums as well, with people who know me personally, and I don't want my thing in a 300-year-old skull. Yet. The users on the thread find this to be hilarious, and continue to egg him on to do it. OP here. The idea of putting my thing in it is sounding pretty good at the moment. For my troubles, would it be worth it? I mean, would y'all get a good laugh out of it? The laughs continue on until the conversation changes back to smuggling it onto the plane and back to his hometown of New Jersey. Once again, OP returns. If I put my thing in it, will this thread be a total deliver, and will you be satisfied? Because I'll do it if you promise that there'll be no more demands made. I thought providing a picture was good enough, but Anon must deliver. I'll await your response. The users continue to egg him on, saying the thread will be immortalized. Things go quiet until the OP returns. And believe it or not, but he actually does it, posting multiple pictures of it all. In the end, while the 4chan users found the story amusing, the reality is far from funny. This guy stole a skull from the Paris catacombs and smuggled it back home and did what he did. But let's not forget, the skull he took was once part of a living human being, someone who had a family, friends, and people who cared for them. It's disturbingly dark and incredibly disrespectful. It would be equally as bad digging up someone's corpse from a cemetery and doing the same thing. The OP just violated someone's dead body, and that really just doesn't sit right with me. In a previous episode of the Darker Sides to 4chan, we covered a mass shooting where the gunner posted to 4chan prior to his attack. The attacker, fortunately, was unsuccessful in taking anyone's life and was apprehended before he could do any more damage. The same, however, cannot be said for this next person. On the 5th of December 2007, at around 15:38 p.m, a user posted onto 4chan writing, "Later today, I'm going to bring my rifle to Von Moore department store at the West Roads Mall, Omaha, Nebraska, to try to beat Cho's high score. I'm going to go out in style." Later on, that day, at around 1:43 p.m, 19-year-old Robert Hawkins walked into the Von Moore department store at West Roads Mall in Omaha, Nebraska, carrying an AK-47 semi-automatic rifle, which he had stolen from his stepfather. Over the course of 6 minutes, he fired more than 30 rounds, causing chaos and panic among shoppers and employees. He first took the lives of 2 women, standing by some clothing racks, before firing down the atrium, taking 2 more men on the first and second floors. He then wounded 2 people on the 3rd floor, 1 fatally, before walking to the customer service desk, where he shot several people, ending the lives of 3 more people. Robert then took his own life by shooting himself upward through the chin. The Omaha Police Department responded quickly to the scene, arriving 6 minutes after receiving the first 911 call, but the damage had already been done. The police investigation revealed that Hawkins had a history of mental health issues and had been taking medication for depression and ADHD. He had also made previous attempts to take his own life and had been hospitalized for psychiatric treatment multiple times. It was evident that Robert was suffering from mental health issues, yet these were never taken seriously, with his father saying the boy will have to stand or fall on his own. In the aftermath of the shooting, authorities discovered Wright's final note, which provided further insight into his troubled mind. In his note, he wrote, "I'm so sorry for what I've put you through. I never meant to hurt all of you so much, and I don't blame any one of you for disowning me. I just can't be a burden to you and my friends any longer. You are all better off without me. I'm so sorry for this." Hawkins also spent a lot of time on 4chan, a site where people often post shocking and insensitive things. Unfortunately, the toxic environment there can make troubled individuals feel even more isolated and misunderstood. While some users on 4chan reacted with shock and disbelief, others disturbingly found humor in the situation. Posts mocking the victims and glorifying Hawkins' actions emerged, drawing criticism from those who saw it as a dangerous and harmful trend. The West Roads Mall shooting is a tragic reminder of how mental health issues, corrupted online culture, and easy access to guns can lead to awful consequences. Robert Hawkins was struggling deeply and tried to get help, but it wasn't enough. But of course, we cannot forget those whose lives were wrongfully taken away from them. They had families, friends, and futures that were tragically cut short, and this is something that can never be brought back. This story in particular stands out, as a 4chan user took an online challenge to a horrifyingly new level. On the 30th of August, 2015, the OP posted onto 4chan by writing the following: "Dubs decides what I do." With this, he attaches a photo of his toe with a timestamp to prove his legitimacy. The rules were simple. If a user's comment received matching double digits or dubs in the reply number, he would follow through with whatever the comment suggested. The post quickly gained replies as anticipation grew, with each person wondering if their comment would receive matching double digits. That is, until one person commented, "Chop off the toe." And this comment rolled dubs. Silence from the OP. You'd think he would just stop. After all, it's not like anyone's going to physically force him to do this now that the comment rolled dubs. But the OP responds. In disbelief, the user realized what he had to do. Cutting off circulation may take some time. Countless memes flood the thread. People are genuinely shocked that the OP seems to be going through with this. The OP posted updates showing his preparations, including an ice bucket, as well as an axe to actually go through with it. But that's it. There's no other communication or concern from the OP. It's almost as if he's in a trance, fully committed to going through with this. All the meanwhile, the other users continue to leave comments, eager to see what the OP actually does. Some time passes. Just over 40 minutes to be exact since the OP last commented. But the OP does return, and sure enough, the OP does deliver. This small, yet incredibly bizarre thread reminds us of the lengths some people will go just for online recognition or to troll and meme. I'm sure the anonymity of 4chan, as well as the horrific content that's shared on the platform, doesn't help to create hostile environments such as this one. In the end, the OP paid a high price for his 15 minutes of internet fame. Was it worth it? It depends who you ask, I suppose. Me personally, I don't think so. Imagine the following scenario. You're an average 4chan user, casually browsing through the random board, when suddenly you come across the following post. It reads, "I have taken the lives of several women for pleasure. If you can guess a name, I will upload a picture. If you can guess a name of any of these women, I will upload their photo. No more than 10 names per post. Any more than that will be ignored. Some are Polaroids, and others were taken with a disposable camera. I also have pictures of them before their death, when I was able to do so. If you guess all of the names, I will show you where I dumped a body in 1999. The first one is free, as her name is unlikely to be guessed." With this, he uploads an image. In this image is a piece of paper, time-stamping the date of his post and proving he truly does have these images. On the left, an image of a woman who appears to be celebrating some graduation. On the right is another photo of the same woman, except in this one, she is clearly battered and bruised, and most definitely no longer alive. This post, uploaded on the 21st of August 2015, began one of the most disturbing and gruesome mysteries of 4chan to this date. One user comments some names: Shannon, Kelly, Madison, Courtney, Trisha. The OP replies, "Wow, off to a great start. Incredible. I fixed the timestamp. My mistake." Another photo was attached to this post. Another battered and bruised, lifeless body of an unidentified woman. He then posts another comment, writing, "This is from before I played with her," showing a bruised body squashed into what seems to be a cardboard box. Users are quick to call him out, claiming he's fake, and they were definitely right to think so. Why would someone decide to start playing such a game? Did they not care about the risks of getting caught? Or was that all purely just part of the thrill? The thread, unsurprisingly, was removed by moderators, but not before other users had managed to capture screenshots of it all. Some hours later, another user posted the following: "Ready to catch a killer, X?" This was posted on B a few hours ago. The thread abruptly 404'd, but not before the OP posted a bunch of pictures. This is a screenshot I took of that thread before it 404'd. I didn't manage to capture the entire thread because I hit the back button or something. The OP posted a fourth image that doesn't appear in this screenshot. I will post all 4 images which I saved from the thread. This thread alone created such an interest within the 4chan community, with more and more people curious to try and decipher who exactly this person was, and if he really was telling the truth. And this thread wasn't the only one. In total, around 10 threads had been created, documenting every last piece of evidence given to the users by the OP, leaving the users desperate to try and piece together the true story behind who this person was. But they never did, and the OP went quiet, leaving all of the users within the threads wondering what exactly happened. That was until the 22nd of September 2015, around 1 month from the original post back in August. The new post was simply titled, "Dying, Dying." With this, he attached another photo. In it, a piece of paper with the words, "I'm back," written across it, and on the right of the paper was the image of a bloody, lifeless man. Immediately, the thread blew up once again, with people assuming he was fake once more, with one commenter even attaching a picture from the previous thread and asking if this was also his work, but the OP didn't respond to anyone. He later uploaded another post titled "Dead." With this, another photo, showing a closer look of the deceased man. The OP concluded with one final post on this thread. He said, "I'll be back in a month to finish our game. If it is not this exact timestamp with an updated date, it isn't me." With this, he attached a photo of what appears to be a man holding a shotgun, pointing directly at the camera. Days go by, weeks even, and finally, the moment the users had been waiting for. It had officially been a month since the OP's post, and the users eagerly awaited an update from him. But it never came. The OP didn't post any updates 1 month later, or any updates at all up to now. He simply disappeared as quickly as he appeared onto the forums. It's an incredibly weird story, and it just leaves us with so many questions. But surely it's just a joke, right? Well, when the 4chan users were investigating within those 10 threads, they used the original image from the first post, as well as their sleuthing skills to try and identify the woman. And they succeeded. The image is of Shauna Maynard, a 17-year-old woman whose lifeless body was found near the intersection of Blue Diamond Road and Decatur Boulevard in Las Vegas. She had been kidnapped and her life taken. And her killer has never been found. Was this man from the 4chan threads the killer of Shauna Maynard? Was he also the killer of all of those people within the photos? Unfortunately, it's difficult to say. People have debated whether the images were actually taken by him, or whether they're simply crime scene photos or other horrific, lesser-known gore images found across the internet. The FBI were reportedly informed about the situation on 4chan, even supposedly beginning an internal investigation of their own, to try and determine not only the legitimacy of these images, but to try and identify the man. However, they concluded that the photo was likely a hoax due to a lack of similarities between the photos and the known circumstances of Shauna Maynard's death. Shauna Maynard had been shot to death, whereas the woman in these photos didn't seem to have any visible bullet wounds from the photos. However, this still leaves so many unanswered questions. Where did the photos come from? If the woman in the photos isn't Shauna, then who is the woman? And who are the other unidentified people shared within the threads? Unfortunately, these are questions we'll probably never get the answers to. The supposed 4chan killer never made a return to the threads, perhaps due to fear, boredom, or he may have even been caught somehow. It's just creepy to think that those sorts of people are lurking out there. Not only online, but in the real world too, creeping and lurking for their next victim. Almost as if it's just one big game to them.